The Supreme Court steps in to extend a block on Texas immigration law. And the biggest single prize in TV history will be up for grabs thanks to Amazon and a YouTube star. The Morning Rundown starts now.
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world. This is the Morning Rundown.
Today is Tuesday, March 19th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kara Rucker. The Supreme Court has placed an indefinite hold on Texas' new immigration law that would allow police to arrest migrants who cross the border illegally. The order issued by Justice Samuel Alito keeps the hold in place as the High Court considers appeals by the Biden administration. The Justice Department filed a lawsuit against Texas in January, arguing the state cannot run its own immigration system. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who signed the bill into law in December as part of his state's measures to combat the crisis at the border, responded to the court's decision, saying the Supreme Court has temporarily halted enforcement of SB 4, but it didn't halt Texas' pre-existing authority to arrest for criminal trespass and other violations of the law. The law was originally set to take effect on March 10th if the Supreme Court did not act. With another partial government shutdown on the horizon, congressional leaders have been working to strike a deal on the last remaining spending bill to be negotiated, funding the Department of Homeland Security. Now, according to multiple reports, they have reached an agreement. DHS oversees immigration enforcement, which has been a sticking point for lawmakers. Deals have already been reached on the 5 other remaining bills after Congress passed the first 6 earlier this month. These bills include funding for the Pentagon and the Departments of Labor and Education. There is a possibility Congress will still need to pass a short-term solution before Friday's deadline, as the House has a rule that members need at least 72 hours to review legislation before voting. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has agreed to send a delegation to Washington, D.C. to hear the United States' concerns about Israel's planned operations in the Gaza town of Rafah, where over 1 million displaced Palestinians are living. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan telling reporters on Monday the Israeli team will consist of military, intelligence, and humanitarian officials. The agreement came during a call between Netanyahu and President Biden, their first in over a month. In his summary of the call, Sullivan gave a description of how the U.S. views the current status of the war in Gaza.
More innocent civilians have died in this conflict, in this military operation, than in all of the wars in Gaza combined, including thousands of children. A humanitarian crisis has descended across Gaza, and anarchy reigns in areas that Israel's military has cleared but not stabilized. The president told the prime minister again today that we share the goal of defeating Hamas, but we just believe you need a coherent and sustainable strategy to make that happen.
Sullivan saying the talks with Israeli officials could take place this week or next week, and Israel has agreed to not conduct any operations in Rafah before that meeting. The White House has announced the first ever U.S.-Japan-Philippines Leaders Summit will take place next month. President Biden will welcome the Japanese Prime Minister and Philippines President amidst rising concerns over North Korea's nuclear program and Chinese actions in the South China Sea. Meanwhile, tensions are on the rise after North Korea state media reported the nation conducted a live fire drill involving nuclear-capable rockets, specifically targeting South Korea. This comes a day after South Korea and Japan reported North Korea fired short-range ballistic missiles toward its eastern coast, just days after South Korea and the U.S. completed a series of combined military drills. Unilever, the company behind brands like Dove, Hellmann's, and Vaseline, announced this morning it plans to spin off its ice cream unit, which includes Ben & Jerry's and Magnum, into a standalone business. Along with this cost-saving move, the company announced it will be cutting around 7,500 jobs. Unilever saying the restructuring will begin immediately and is expected to be completed by the end of 2025. Unilever anticipates these moves, along with a new productivity program, will save the company over $860 million over the next 3 years. Finally this morning, how does getting the chance to win $5 million sound? That's the prize of a new reality competition series headed to Amazon Prime Video. It's believed to be the biggest single prize in the history of television and streaming. The show is called Beast Games and will be hosted and produced by YouTube's most popular creator, Jimmy Donaldson, better known as MrBeast. He currently has more than 245 million subscribers to his YouTube channel, and according to Forbes, earns around $82 million in a year. Beast Games will see 1,000 contestants competing for the $5 million cash payout. There is no word yet on what the actual challenges are, but Amazon says the upcoming show will feature a fast-paced and high-production format. These are your top stories for this Tuesday. Unbiased, straight facts, that's Straight Arrow News. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, I'm Kara Rucker. Have a great day.